Hi, welcome to What's the Word? I'm your host, Jaime McFaden, and I'm so excited to have you here. This podcast is about all things wellness. Each week, we will focus on a word of the day, and I interview some of the most inspirational people I know and share that inspiration with you. Join me, let's learn together on What's the Word.
This is the place where I belong.
Hi, and welcome to What's the Word? I'm your host, Jaime McFaden. This podcast is about all things wellness. Each week, we focus on a word of the day and give some tips on how to utilize that word to help change your life for the better. To kick it off today, our word is perspective, which means a particular way of viewing things that depends on one's experience and personality, the ability to consider things in relation to one another accurately and fairly. In this episode today, I am so excited to be interviewing the incredible food blogger, author, and creator of Bowls Are the New Plates, which is my new favorite food site, Whitney Bond. Hi, Whitney.
Hi, Jamie.
How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy to have you here. And just for anyone that's listening right now, if this is the first time listening to What's the Word, every episode we have a word of the day. And I asked you to choose a word that meant something to you, and you pretty quickly chose your word, which is perspective. And you did mention that for the last 10 years, you felt that perspective has helped you change your life. So can you expand on that for us?
Yeah, I think if everyone took a little more perspective on where they've come from and how far they've come versus where they're trying to be, your life is so much better. Because for me, I'm a food blogger, right? And there's thousands, like tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of food bloggers out there right now. And it's really easy to look at the top 10 people just killing it in this space. But then you come back to your perspective and you think about all those tens of thousands of food bloggers that are sitting at home that would kill to be in my position right now, being able to do this full time, being a published cookbook author, getting to do great appearances on podcasts and TV shows. And so it really, I think your perspective really can change your life. You can either come from the perspective of, I want to be more, I want to do better. And those are great goals to have, but your perspective should always be, I've come so far. I've already done so much. Look at where I started and look at where I am now.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And so beautifully stated, because it is true. I mean, you are doing something that, maybe somebody that's, in their kitchen listening right now, cooking, going, gosh, I'd love to be on Food Network, or I want to be a food blogger. Like, how do you even do that? And you have created this space for yourself. And so I think when it comes to perspective, that is something so true. It can be really easy for us to compare our life to somebody else's life that maybe we see or idolize or look at. But the reality is, by just shifting that perspective and looking at, okay, well, where was I last year? Where was I 5 years ago? Where have I been and where am I at today, can be a really big motivating factor in changing your life. So I love that. And now, with that being said, can you share a couple tips, maybe something that's worked for you, kind of like to expand on what you were just going with, but a couple tips that when it comes to perspective, for someone that's listening right now, how can you give them a little bit of motivation, Whitney, of how does somebody change their perspective? Because that can also be challenging. If you're kind of set in one way, or sometimes I know myself too, it's like you've kind of felt maybe defeated or like you failed or whatever it is. Like what are some steps that helped you or tips that you can share on changing your perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just being aware of it. So whether it's writing it down or saying out loud, where you've been and where you are now, or maybe it's looking back at photos, or, I look at my website. You can, I forget the website name, but you could basically go and look at any website, what it looked like 9 years ago. And I've been blogging for over 9 years now. So I can go back and look at my site over the years and just see how far I've come. And that really helps put things into perspective. When I am down about, Google's latest update and my site isn't ranking as high or things like that, I try to put things back into perspective. I mean, you knew me back in the day, but I was living in my car before I started my blog, and now I have a beautiful home. And so it really helps to look back on those beginning days and put things into perspective when I'm feeling defeated and feeling like I'm not hitting that next goal, to look back at how far I've come.
Right. And I mean, that is so, thank you for bringing that up and thank you for sharing that and being transparent, because for anyone that is listening, you know, I did know you back then, and I did know, you were always very ambitious and always willing to put in the work, but at the same time, you probably had to do your own work on being aware of yourself and all different things around you to change your own perspective. So I think you said a key word that everybody can take away from this is awareness, and bringing the awareness to where we're at right now. And I love journaling, and I know you write a lot. So being able to sometimes just see something on a tangible paper of, okay, this is what's going on. Or maybe then sometimes you write something down and you're like, well, maybe this is where I need to make a change in my own life. So with you, curiosity, where did you get the inspiration and the motivation to start? Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, it used to be Little Leopard Book.
Yes.
I
So
remember.
when I was living in my car, I actually wrote in this little leopard print notebook the things that I wanted to do when I got my life back together. Basically, it was just motivation to keep going, because at that point, my perspective wasn't great, because my perspective was sitting in the back of a 1998 Honda Accord, and it wasn't pretty, but I had to keep moving forward. So I would write down things that made me happy, things I wanted to do with my life, goals, in this little leopard print notebook. So I decided to start a blog after I got my life together, which was very, very barely together at the time. But I took this notebook and then I kind of translated that into the blog. And when I started blogging, it wasn't about food. It was about a little bit of everything of my life. And the food was really, though, what brought me the most joy. And I could tell it was what brought others the most joy. People were really enjoying making my recipes at home. And therefore, then I was so happy that people were sharing what I created with their family and friends. And so it kind of took on a life of its own. And now, over 9 years later, I've shared over 1,200 recipes between my two blogs, whitneybond.com, and then my new blog that you mentioned, Bowls of the New Plates, which is really focused on a healthier lifestyle, which is something that, I've really, been trying to get my handle on. I've always enjoyed exercise and being healthy, but being a food blogger, you got to balance things out. And so I think, over the last, year, I've really shifted my perspective into what health and wellness means to me, and still getting to enjoy pizza and ice cream, because I can just never give those things up. But hopping on my spin bike every morning and making sure, I burn those extra calories from Friday night pizza night. And now I make these healthy recipes on Bowls of the New Plates, which are low carb or vegan.
And so delicious. I'm sorry to cut you off, but so I am so that the day when you said that this website is happening, and oh my goodness. So for anyone listening right now, definitely please make sure that you check out whitneybond.com and Bowls Are the New Plates. And you also have two separate Instagram accounts, correct?
Yes. So Whitney Bond Instagram and Bowls of the New Plates on Instagram.
Great. So I'll make sure to add those, when this comes out, so that everybody can check those out. But now back to perspective really quick, and putting things into perspective. I mean, I know, for this year, this has been a tough year for many of us in so many different ways. And we've talked about the juggle, because both of us have, online remote businesses. So in that sense, it has been fortunate. But you have also had some unfortunate things, like you had to postpone your own wedding. And, so things like that. How has perspective come into play in that way this year for you? Because it isn't always like, I just want to bring light also to, it's not always like, let's have a great perspective. It's like sometimes, like, you talked about that you lived in a car, and then now this year it's like things are really good in one way, and then, you have to completely change the course of your big day. How does that feel, or how does perspective come into play?
Yeah, perspective has played a huge role in this year, I think, for literally everyone I know, because it's so easy to get down so quickly when things are so unknown and there's a lot of scary things happening out in the world right now. And so I think for me, I've just kept that perspective of I'm healthy, my family's healthy, I have a job. Like, I'm so grateful for all the blessings from this year, even though there have been some downfalls. And I know for a lot of other people that had to postpone their wedding, it was, they either couldn't get refunds, or it was supposed to be in another country and they had to cancel it altogether. Or, I think like for us, we just postponed it a year. And obviously that wasn't what I wanted to do, but, keeping perspective on this year, and you really just have to focus on the good things every day, because there are obviously a lot of bad things happening out there. And I think, for all of the parents out there that are homeschooling their kids right now and working and trying to keep their lives together and everyone fed and clothed and laundry, like, mad props to you. Like, I just can't. I watch some of my friends on their Instagram story and I'm just like, I don't know how y'all are keeping your perspective, but just my advice, I guess, to everyone out there is you just have to count your blessings every day. I think that's the same thing as keeping your perspective, is just thinking about the things that are great in your life and then all the things that could be happening that aren't. And that's how I keep a good perspective.
I love that. Thank you so much. And now as we wrap this up, I do have one quick question for you in regards to one of your favorite new recipes. Do you have anything? Because I remember last time I talked with you, you had a sauce that you were putting on everything.
Yes.
Yeah, you still are.
I'm still putting it on everything, literally months later. And I have a bottle of this all the time. Literally, I put it on everything.
What is this?
So it's a cashew-based chipotle sauce. So it's vegan, and I actually soak the cashews, and then that's the base of the dressing. So it's super healthy, it's vegan, plant-based, and it literally goes on everything. My favorite right now are these sweet potato burrito bowls with the chipotle sauce on top. The chipotle and roasted sweet potato combo is like amazing. So
oh my goodness. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to check that out later and then put in my grocery order so I can get all of this and make it. So, Whitney, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for sharing your perspective on perspective, so that for anyone listening, just as a reminder, life is not linear and things are ever changing. That is one constant that both you and I have consistently experienced, and that never changes our perspective overall. It's always about just continuing, just keep swimming, keep one foot in front of the other, and just write things down and be aware. So on that note, thank you so very much. I will be sharing all of your links with everyone listening. And please be sure to go follow Whitney Bond and Bowls Are the New Plates. And stay tuned for more goodies. And thank you. I hope you have a great day.
thanks, Jamie.
Okay. Thank you for joining me here at What's the Word. Follow us on social media with the links on the screen, and don't forget to like and share with your friend. Your support helps us grow and continue to make inspirational content. See you next time on What's the Word.